สวัสดีครับ Good afternoon from Bangkok, Thailand. Warm greetings to all audiences who are joining us via virtual platform. Welcome everyone to the virtual learning series SEP-SDGs in Actions, organized by the CMEO Regional Center for Sufficiency Economy Philosophy for Sustainability, or CMEO SEPs. I am Thanapon. You can call me Kelvin for short, and I'm your host for today's opening session. And today we are pleased to have everyone here with us in the third episode under the topic of transforming education to a brighter future. Before we start our session, may I inform everyone about the schedule today. We will start by the opening message of Ms. Duria Amatawiwat, the Center Director of CMEO SEPs, followed by the panel presentations. And we are honored to have 4 presentations from distinguished speakers who are insightfully experienced in education and development from various sectors. After the presentation of each speaker, there will be a Q&A session and the closing afterwards. At this moment, everyone, may I invite Ms. Duria Amatawiwat, Center Director of CMEO SEPs, to deliver a welcome message, and she will deliver by her recording. Ms. Duria, the floor is yours.
สวัสดีค่ะ Distinguished speakers and participants, good day to all of you from the CMEO SEPs. And today, on behalf of the CMEO SEP, I'm honored to welcome you all to the virtual learning series on transforming education to a brighter future. This is the third session of our virtual learning series on SEP-SDGs in action. The virtual learning series aims to provide a platform for exchanging creative ideas, innovations, and best practices in relation to SDGs and SEP that education institutions can apply for schools improvement program. As for this virtual learning series topic, CMEO SEPs considers that we need to be responsive to the global call of transforming education. After the pandemic crisis, education leaders worldwide, including our region, have focused on renewing efforts to revive the commitment to achieve the SDGs. I would like to reiterate that the role of education has never been more crucial than in a world defined by rapid technological advancements, shifting societal values, and an ever-changing global landscape. Therefore, the global transforming education comes at the right moment, as education is the cornerstone of progress. We believe that education will be a powerful instrument to address the challenges of our time and building a better, more equitable future for all. For this session, we aim to provide all participants with global and regional trends in transforming education and how the sufficiency economy philosophy, or SEP, can contribute to accelerate the achievement of SDGs. At the same time, we will also connect the perception of industrial sector on how they can partner with education sector to pave the way of young generations to their future careers, since we all know that the labor world market has been and will continue to change. I would like to thank all distinguished speakers for their contribution to the CMEO SEPs virtual learning series on how transforming education will contribute to more sustainable futures. I would like to also thank to our participants for your dedication and your commitment to this important event. Let us embark on this journey together, inspired by the belief that through education, we can shape a better world. Once again, I would like to express my appreciation to our speakers, Dr. Maki from UNESCO Jakarta, Dr. Ethel, advisor to the ASEAN Secretariat, Dr. Sampan from the industrial sector, and Ms. Tintin Hermawati from a school that she will showcase of her school. I would like to thank for your participation to this virtual learning series. Thank you very much. ขอบคุณค่ะ
Thank you very much, Madam Director, for a warm welcome message. Before we start the panel presentation, we would like to invite everyone to send the question by scanning the QR code, and you can find the link posted in the YouTube description box, or click the link on the top of the chat box. So please stay with us until the end of our session. The information of the e-certification will be presented at the end of our session. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I would like to proceed to the next session, and I would like to invite and introduce our moderator. Her name is Elizabeth Sol from SEP-SDGs. So, Ms. Sol, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Kevin, and good morning, afternoon, evening to everyone who has joined the webinar. Could I just say that, like Kevin, I have a nickname. I'm usually known as Libby. Okay, are we on? Okay, I think we're here now. So thank you, Kevin. Good morning, afternoon, and evening to everyone who's joined the webinar. Could I just say, like Kevin, I have a nickname. I'm usually known as Libby. I've been with the SEP-SDGs team since August this year, and I'm the moderator for the session today. As Kevin mentioned, SEP-SDGs, the organizer of this webinar series, is one of 26 specialist centers in the SEP family. The center aims to promote sufficiency economy philosophy, or SEP, S-E-P, as a tool to achieve sustainability. To find out more on SEP, please take the time to view the first webinar in our series entitled SEP-SDGs. You can follow the link from the SEP-SDGs website or through the SEP-SDGs YouTube channel. So let me welcome everybody today to the SEP-SDGs third webinar in the SEP-SDGs in Action virtual learning series. And we're addressing the topic, transforming education to a brighter future. Now, brighter is a word that starts us off thinking positively. A word, it's filled with vision and optimism. And I believe that the presentations today will confirm that we're moving in an exciting direction. Together, we'll be looking at global and regional trends in education transformation, implications and challenges and opportunities in addressing education transformation, and successful practices at the school level. As Doria mentioned, our speakers include Ms. Maki Hayashikawa, Director of UNESCO Multisectoral Regional Office in Jakarta, Dr. Ethel Agnes Pascua-Valenzuela, Education Advisor to the ASEAN Socio-Cultural Committee, or ASCC Research and Development Platform. That's the ASEAN Secretariat, also in Indonesia. And Dr. Sampan Silapanat, Vice President, Hard Disk Drive Department in Thailand, Western Digital Storage Technologies in Thailand. And Ms. Tintin Hermawati, School Principal of Al Wafa Vocational High School, South Bandung in Indonesia. She's here with her team, Mr. Cecep Abdurrahman, teacher in broadcasting and film, Mr. Rifki Sahib Nugraha, teacher in the Metaverse team and curriculum division, and Mr. Ilham Rizki Galiputra, student in the Metaverse team. Before we begin, let me take this opportunity to remind all speakers that we'll have approximately 15 to 20 minutes to deliver their presentations, and I will endeavour to keep an eye on the timing for you. When all 4 speakers are finished, we will open for a 5 to 10 minute Q&A session. And I gather from the SEP-SDGs team that our audience is keen to get started, and that we've already received a few questions. Thank you very much for that, and please keep the questions coming. So, without further ado, let me introduce our first speaker today. Ms. Maki Hayashikawa is Director of UNESCO Multisectoral Regional Office in Jakarta and a UNESCO representative to Indonesia, Brunei Darussalam, Malaysia, the Philippines, Timor-Leste. She brings nearly 30 years experience with UNESCO, UNICEF, and JICA at global, regional, and country levels. During her time with UNESCO, she has overseen global programs on gender and inclusive education, higher education, and education in emergencies, and she led the global SDG coordination mechanism. Having served as the Executive Secretary of the Secretariat for the Transforming Education Summit, convened in September 22, I believe there can be no better person to explain the bigger picture to us than Ms. Maki in her presentation on the Transforming Education Summit 1 year on. I give the floor to you, Ms. Maki.
Thank you very much for the introduction. Good afternoon from Jakarta. I'm very pleased to be joining you in this webinar this afternoon. Now, let me share my screen. Here you go. Okay, I hope my screen is clear. So thank you very much for inviting me to join this webinar today. As a kickoff presenter of this seminar, I would like to provide a brief overview on the Transforming Education Summit and its outcomes. It has been exactly or a little bit over 1 year since the summit took place last year in New York. Now, I believe many of the participants joining here today are very, very aware of the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. There are 17 of them. And of course, the topic on Sustainable Transforming Education Summit was focusing on SDG 4, the fourth goal on quality inclusive education. Now, excuse me, apologize, I need to close my window here. Okay. So, in fact, this is the background to why the Transforming Education Summit was convened. At the time, at the turn of the, as we came out of the COVID pandemic 19, we know that there was a huge major learning losses occurred, and countries were struggling to recover from the major losses incurred during the 2 to 3 years of COVID-19 pandemic. We know that out of 104 countries that have been studied, 4 in 5 have really shown a major loss and also deterioration on the performance of education systems. We know that the school completion rate has been rising. However, the pace has slowed down and in a very uneven way worldwide. And also, we still face, we have still 84 million out-of-school children youth, and out of which about 37.9% is actually found in our region, Southeast Asia. Now, we also have this major education financing challenge, which has been aggravated since the COVID-19 pandemic, which mainly means that lower and lower middle income countries currently face nearly $100 billion of annual financing gap if they were to reach their education targets by 2030. So the UN Secretary General called for a major high-level conference last year in September in New York to transform education as an urgent political imperative for our collective future. Apologies for the typo there. It's our collective future. And this urgent call was actually made in order to rethink fundamentally the purpose and content of education. And of course, building on the 2 principles of the new social contract of education, the right to quality education throughout life, and strengthening education as a public endeavor and a common good. I think, although it's not highlighted in the slide, it is important to emphasize the fact that education was revisited as a global public good. And I think this is also critical in order to ensure that education, quality, inclusive education is also a human right. Now, but why do we need to transform education? Of course, there were many incidents of learning losses, and of course, countries were struggling to keep up pace in order to achieve SDG 4 by 2030. By the time we came through the pandemic, we only had 7 years left until the target date of 2030. Now, one of the things that was reminded in order to convene the summit was that education has always had to adapt and respond to changing world, which meant that the education itself is the key to transforming not only the education system itself, but also the other development goals and socioeconomic development, which also means that education can become the best tool to achieve democracy, sustain and achieve democracy, diversity, and justice. And also currently we need action, collective action, in order to face and confront the challenges that we have in front of us. And for that, we also need to see the education system to transform itself. In order to transform the other sectors, there will be a need for a new social contract for education that could provide a new vision, a progressive vision, and a process for transforming the entire system. So the SG called for the Transform Education Summit. In the process of preparing for the summit, there was this whole exercise undertaken globally on rethinking and reimagining the education system and how we can transform it around the world. This was actually based on the study of a paper that UNESCO produced the year before, and the Transform Education Summit discussions were based much on the outcomes, the findings, recommendations from this document. Now, there are 5 thematic actions that were recommended, identified through the exercise over about 6-7 months. And one was on inclusive, equitable, safe, and healthy schools. Another thematic action area was on learning and skills for life, for work, and sustainable development. The third was on teachers, teaching, and teaching professionals. A fourth area identified was on digital learning transformation. And the fifth area was financing of education. It was understood and agreed that unless we tackle education from these 5 thematic action areas or angles, that we will not be able to transform education. So these 5 thematic areas became the foundation of the summit discussions that took place last year. And also recommendations of the summit are also based on these 5 thematic action areas. Hence, I thought it would be helpful to kind of go through what the key recommendations of these 5 thematic actions were at the origin. And these actually still remain to be very valid in our discussions and deliberation around how to transform education systems and beyond. So under the first track, on inclusive and equitable, safe, and healthy schools, it was the recommendation meant for government and the partners was to protect the right and protect the rights and change mindsets, invest in those further behind, ensure the visibility of the least visible, empower teachers to empower learners, build a foundation for learning to live together. We must create safe learning spaces to thrive, nourish healthy bodies and healthy minds, and realize that idiom, it takes a village. From these elements, that recommended elements, you can see that how holistically the discussion took place around education, that education sector alone will not be able to transform the system nor the entire development agenda. So we have to work, of course, beyond the education sector, including the health sector, the labor sector, the social welfare sector, the gender women's empowerment sector, and so on. So this key recommendations actually reflect the critical needs of an intersectoral, very holistic approach to education transformation. Now, the second thematic area was on learning skills for life and work and sustainable development. And this was essentially really about education for sustainable development, how to mainstream ESD as a cross-cutting instrument to empower learners of diverse backgrounds and abilities at all levels of education. It was also important to ensure that there will be robust lifelong learning policy systems, because we can no longer live with just a simple cycle of basic education. Education must be a lifelong learning process with a life cycle approach, and also ensuring that education and learning does not be restricted only to the reading and writing and academic subject, but it has to become a very holistic learning process based on the principles of educational sustainability, and ensure that individuals have opportunities to upskill themselves and empower and become entrepreneurs and in their own right in order to contribute back in a productive manner to the society and economy. Now, the third was in the area of teaching profession. And of course, this has been a persistent challenge for many countries in order to accelerate, improve the quality and accelerate the provision of education across the levels and areas. Of course, without our teachers, we will not be able to even progress in the education systems, leads to transform the system if we cannot transform the teachers themselves. But in order to encourage teachers to transform themselves, their status and working condition must be improved. They have to be looked after in terms of their professional development, and also their salary scale, their financing for teachers through a very integrated national reform strategy could be critical in order to sustain the motivation and commitment of teachers to stay in the profession as well. So hence, one of the key recommendations was also to find a way to effectively ensure a dedicated financing for teachers and increase their social and economic status in their own right. Then the fourth area was on digital learning and transformation, which reflects very much the needs of today in a very fast, rapidly advancing era in technology. Now, this, of course, built on the lessons learned from the COVID-19 experience, where when schools shut down, the only means of continuing learning and education was to exploit the availability of internet, the online learning platforms. Many countries, of course, have benefited from this opportunity to introduce the digital learning platforms. This has become a major way of sustaining educational opportunities. However, at the same time, it also revealed a major digital gap, which apparently was also found to be widening at the time when the most vulnerable and marginalized population needed education and learning opportunity in order to excel in the life beyond education. So this thematic area had 3 recommendations to ensure that connectivity and digital learning opportunities will be available, that they will build and maintain a robust and free and public digital learning content and platforms so that anyone can access without any financial restrictions, nor language or any other means of accessibility challenge. And also to focus on how technology can enhance learning by enabling evidence-based education practices. It actually meant that we should not be dominated by the technology put into our disposal, but that we should be the one to be exploiting technology, how to enhance the learning of individual learners. Now, this, of course, digital learning and transformation track has many synergy with other tracks as a major cross-cutting area in education transformation. And then the 5th area was financing of education, which also cuts across all the other thematic areas, because without resources, we will not be able to manage to expand and scale up our efforts in education. But of course, there are limitations, so we need to also come up with very innovative and creative way of mobilizing resources to sustain our level of investment. Of course, the first and foremost increase and also sustaining spending on education must start at the national level. So governments, domestic financing strategies and policies will need to be reviewed. And one of the recommendations from the theme was this thematic action group was to ensure that governments make efforts to increase tax to GDP ratio by 5% by 2030, enabling a doubling of spending on education, health, and more. But of course, governments may have restrictions, limitations, so there will be the need to enhance the availability of resources from external sources, for which there was a need to allow more education, more data collection, ensuring that there is evidence and in order to base their investment case. And that has been one of the key recommendations from this group, that we must have better data and accountability systems for education financing. Now, so in this way, with all the background work done from a thematic substantive areas. The Transform Education Summit took place in New York in September, actually 19th September last year. 154 countries participated in the summit. They were actually represented at the highest level, at the level of head of state and government. 65 of them were actually head of state and government. Rest of the countries were represented by their education ministers and vice ministers. This Transform Education Summit, TESS in short, was probably the largest and highest level politically committed conference dedicated on education since probably the World Education Forum in 1990. So this has been a major milestone for the education community in order to accelerate SDG 4 by 2030. Now, before the summit took place, 163 member states convened national level consultations, which was very inclusive, multi-stakeholders consultations, bringing government leaders, teachers, students, civil society, academia, and other partners together, and out of which 141 member states have submitted their national statements of commitment in time for the summit. In fact, these national statements are still coming in. So UNESCO at the global level headquarters, there's a Secretariat to follow up on the summit, which is still receiving national statements of commitment since it has taken place. And then, of course, the main outcome of the summit was the UN Secretary General's vision statement on transforming education. So what this national commitments to transform education highlight? 141 countries is not a small number to come up with a commitment to be shared, that were shared at the Transforming Education Summit. It was clear that almost majority of the countries, 92%, stated their renewed commitments to mitigate the negative impact of COVID-19 on education disruptions. 68% of the countries really focused on how to rethink the curriculum, content, and pedagogical approaches, especially in light of the major impacts, the impacts on education system disruptions caused by the pandemic. It was very encouraging to see that over 87 countries, 87% of the countries reported had focused on more inclusive education systems and also the need to cater for the most vulnerable learners and communities. And then 90% highlighted the importance of one aspect of digital learning. Now, education spending was unfortunately not very high on the national commitment statements. Only about one third has actually set a time-bound targets to maintain or increase domestic public education spending. But then in contrast, there was a clear recognition of the importance of accountability and monitoring mechanism, and in order to implement their commitments in their own countries. And this mechanism for monitoring is also now being established at the global and regional level. Now, all of which also came out as 4 areas of key test visions, which were also reflected in the Secretary General's vision statement. First, that the learning environment must be supportive of the development of all learners. So no discrimination, ensuring that no child, no learner is left behind. Second, the teachers must be supported and empowered to transform themselves. As I said, teachers, without teachers, we will not be able to advance our education systems at all. They're critical and an important agent of change and transformation. And third, the digital revolution must be harnessed for the benefit of public education. So recognizing the huge digital, widening digital gap, that this had to be addressed through the 3 C's, connectivity and content, and also collaboration and cooperation, and ensuring that digital learning and digital technology platform for education is also used for the benefit of public education. And of course, fourth, the key message or key areas of TESS was to call for an urgent investment for more equitably and more efficiently in education. Now, since then, there has been a strategy to follow up on the TESS outcomes agreed at the global level, where there are 5 pillars that has been now being implemented since October last year. The first pillar is to, of course, follow up on the commitments made at the country level. The second is to look into the preparation for the Summit of the Future, which will take place next year in New York. Also, to ensure that the global movement to transform education will be sustained, the fourth pillar is to really address the issue of education financing. And the fifth pillar, a follow-up, was to encourage and implement the global initiatives that were launched at the TESS. Now, these are the 6 global initiatives that were launched in New York. And since then, each of these initiatives have been taking certain steps to advance their cause. The Greening Education Partnership is one of the main flagships of the TESS, where they have now over 85 countries joining the partnership in order to share and exchange and learn from one another and support one another in how to advance the climate action, education for climate action, and also for sustainable education sustainability. Now, second, gateway to public digital learning. The third was on foundational learning. The fourth area of the initiative was on education crisis situations to form a partnership for transforming actions. The fifth area was the global platform for gender equality and growth and women's empowerment in and through education. And the sixth initiative was the Global Youth Initiative. Now, since then, there has been quite a bit of progress being made. I think there has been a major step in terms of the domestic international financing discussions. There has been several political dialogues taking place since this year, beginning of this year, at the World Bank spring meeting, as well as the recent autumn meeting, to place education financing on the table of the discussion of Ministers of Finance. Now, also new indicators on greening education, digital transformation, youth engagement have been adopted. So countries are now encouraged to use the 3 new indicators to be included as part of their SDG 4 monitoring, which already has 7 global baseline indicators. Now, the Knowledge Hub, which was created at the beginning of TESS, has become an extensive resource for countries, and now it is available online with a new dashboard, which actually monitors the national commitment progress being made. Now, the youth engagement has also been increasing. The SDG 4 Youth Network that was created on the occasion of the TESS now has 150 youth actively connected from 87 countries, working on implementing the Declaration on Youth that was actually adopted at the summit. Excuse me. And then, of course, the 6 TESS global initiatives are running in together at the same time, many of them cutting across the different initiatives, as the elements of the initiatives have many commonalities and also cross-cutting elements. Now, here a quick summary. Oops, sorry. Quick quick summary of some of the regional level progress or follow-up since the summit. And I think here I just wanted to focus on Asia and the Pacific region, where the a session dedicated to the TESS follow-up was held this year in March at the 10th Asia Pacific meeting on education. Other regions have also organized a regional level follow-up meeting since the TESS was organized last year in Europe, in Latin America, in Africa, and also in the Arab States region. Actually, in the Arab States region and also in Latin America, there were Minister of Education level conferences, which actually specifically addressed the follow-ups to TESS. So the commitment made at the global level have been reiterated and revisited again at the regional level as well. Now, more recently this year, last month, actually in September, it's already November, so 2 months ago, but in September, at the SDG summit, there was a parallel session that took place, focusing on some of the key areas of the SDGs. And one of them, they were called the high-level, high-impact initiatives. One of them was focused on transforming education. Now, the High Impact Initiative was the aim to share progress on the summit's agenda with the 5 front-runner countries from across regions. So 5 countries were invited to share what they were doing in terms of following up on TESS. It was also meant to gain broader buy-in on the theme from education financing discussion to reframe the conversation and setting the stage for upcoming meetings, and also increase visibility and support for youth and civil society movement for transforming education. The High Impact Initiative session also was taken as an opportunity to launch this new dashboard of country actions commitments, which is now available online on the TESS Knowledge Hub. So the dashboard of country commitment and action basically is a tool to monitor how countries have translated the national commitments made at the Transform Education Summit into action. So now, after 1 year, we wanted to see how countries are meeting up to their commitments that they made a year ago, and also to facilitate online some cross-country learning exchange or experience and good practices. So the dashboard has been under development since beginning of this year, and the first phase has now been completed by compiling all the country profiles, coding the national statements, and visualizing them on the map of the SDG4 Knowledge Hub. The second phase is now currently ongoing. The outcomes will be, of course, posted on the dashboard. It is really looking at how countries are using, developing strategy initiatives towards transformation, their status of education financing, and also to survey on the country's engagement in the 6 global initiatives that were launched at the summit. So here is some initial key findings from the first phase in profiling the countries. We know that 8 out of 10 countries have really committed to digital transformation learning. 7 out of 10 countries committed to increases and improving their investment education. As such, these were basically the same thing that I had just summarized earlier, but also important to see that 8 out of 10 countries committed to implement transformative policies focusing on curriculum, inclusion, governance, teachers, and digital transformation. This is a dashboard. This is how the dashboard actually looks on the website, and I encourage everyone who will be interested to visit the website and also to access the dashboard. So we will be updating this on a very regular basis. So today will be out of 10, maybe tomorrow it becomes 9 out of 10 countries implementing and committed to implement some of these transformative policies. Now, the new benchmark that I was referring to earlier was also agreed upon last year in December by the high-level steering committee for SDG4. And these are the 3 indicators on greening, on digital transformation, and youth engagement to the SDG4 benchmark indicators. Now, the countries are being invited to adopt these 3 new indicators into the national targets, and a benchmark for 2025 and 2030 have been now assigned, and most countries actually have already put their national targets around these benchmarks. And then financing, one of the biggest challenges and the least commitment made in the national commitments. But of course, we have to address this issue of financing education as a matter of urgency, given that there's a huge annual financing gap for low and lower middle income countries to achieve the national SDG 4. $97 billion is the estimation, and this is equivalent to $80 per child. Now, the aid to education is also falling by 7% since 2020. And also only 30% of direct aid to education among the 10 largest donors of sub-Saharan Africa actually goes to the recipient countries. So there are many challenges in education financing, which we have to address as a matter of urgency. Hence, this is also one of the priorities of the TESS follow-up in this coming month. So now, in order to address this priority, a multilateral financing of education initiative, or MFEI, has been launched recently under the auspices of the High-Level Steering Committee of SDG 4. Now, it is really initiatives that are encouraging and mobilizing the multilateral agencies to scale up the international financing of education and understanding how we can actually bring this into reality. Now, there is a dedicated task group to look into the references on conducting inclusive and highly consultative process across the different countries and constituencies, and also to pay close attention to complementary initiatives, agendas, and other global education bodies to bring that education is not only left to the education sector, but also bringing other development sectors initiatives that could also complement education financing, like health financing or finance for labor sector, finance with skills, finance with digital technology. So this will be my last slide, and it is really just to showing what are the coming up milestones for the global level in following up on the summit outcomes and towards the Summit of the Future that will take place next year. This year, of course, we have the COP28, at which the Global Greening Education Partnership will have a major event to showcase how countries are progressing under the partnership to address climate action through education. There will be the Global Refugee Forum as well in Geneva, which will be also addressing the global initiative on education emergencies. And next year, the Global Education Meeting will be convened by UNESCO together with member states to also review and also report on the progress being made on the global initiatives and also the commitments made in tests. And these will be also feed into the Summit of the Future, and to ensure that the Summit of the Future will not lose the focus on education as one of the key levers for advancing SDG 4 by 2030 and beyond. So thank you very much for your attention, and apology for being a little bit long, but I wish to conclude my presentation, and back to you, to the moderator. Thank you very much.
Great. For detailed background and update on the progress made since the Transforming Education Summit in 2022. I think what surprises me is that so much has happened in such a short space of time and at the highest levels. There are many positive signs, and there is consensus on the urgency of transforming education, which is confirmed at various points in your presentation, including those dashboards that you mentioned. Just from a SEP point of view, I was particularly interested in thematic action track 5, where you talk about the the thematic action track, it's 2, concerning the role of knowledge, skills and values for achievement of the SDGs. We're obviously well behind you on this one. As we've run a little bit over time, I'm just going to say once again, Ms. Maki, thank you so much for putting us all in the picture and giving us an opportunity to think about where we all stand in the picture as individual schools, communities, and to consider where we want to be in the future. So thank you once again.
Thank you.
We will now move on to our second speaker, and Dr. Ethel Agnes Pascua-Valenzuela is Education Advisor for the ASEAN Socio-Cultural Committee, or ASCC, Research and Development Platform of the ASEAN Secretariat. She leads the future of education research and works across all issues on equity, quality, and SDG relevance of education and lifelong learning. She currently serves as the governing board member of the UNESCO Institute of Lifelong Learning and UNESCO Institute for Statistics, and is an advisory member of the International Standard Classification of Teacher Training Programs. Before assuming the education advisor role at the ASEAN Secretariat, she was the first female director of the Senior Secretariat. That was in 2019 to 2023. Clearly capable hand to learn about what is happening in
I'm happy to join this webinar for 3 reasons. First of all, many leaders all over the world are discussing transforming education after the New York Summit. Second, I would like to see how SEPs and partner organizations are co-creating the future together. And third, in ASEAN, we're currently doing the future of education, and I would like to share the different trends that we can see in this region and all over the world. I would like to congratulate Director Duria for taking this initiative to gather everyone to discuss transforming education in Southeast Asia. Let me just share with you my slides. First, I'm very glad that we're discussing this very important topic. We would like to know what are the global and regional trends in education. What is the future we want, or rather, what is the future we need? And how do we create a new future together? In the ASEAN, they have already adopted a consolidated strategy for Industry 4.0. It talks about foreseeing a digital economy with a very good and robust technological governance and cybersecurity, digital transformation of society, more capacity building on digitalization, and fostering cooperation and collaboration. Digital transformation in ASEAN aims to have a forward-looking human resource development with digital inclusion strategy, expanded cultural development for everyone, attending to social welfare and protection, and innovative environmental sustainability. So let us see where the trends are going in terms of education transformation. In Brunei Darussalam, for example, they just have developed the new strategic plan, focusing on digitalization, rapid framework. There's also thought on online assessment, research-based policies. Cambodia prepared their climate change strategic plan from 2014 to 2023, and they're now into the education roadmap 2030. They talked about rectangular concept in the curriculum. More teachers are being trained, while Indonesia just launched focus on foundational learning with their Merdeka Belahar curriculum. Lao PDR is emerging with new policies for safe schools and also doing a lot of efforts on digitalization with partners like UNICEF and others. Malaysia has been supporting flexible learning initiatives and leading the development of micro-credentials and MOOCs in the region with a broader flexible learning pathways. In Myanmar, they have completed the National Education Strategic Plan as well, with the 10 transformation shifts focusing on futures technologies. Philippines introduced its new curriculum called Matatag curriculum, while Chad is focusing on broader internationalization and transnational education strategies, with Philippine qualifications framework being established in the transnational education agenda. Singapore enhanced its program to cater for independent learning. They have also launched Skills Future Education Initiatives and Education Hub of our region. Thailand is on 4.0 with online education system being adopted and providing uninterrupted education system. Thai also is heavy on SDGs and now supporting the development of micro-credentials in higher education. While in Vietnam, we'll see a lot of remarkable changes and development. They have also decentralized educational system, especially during the time of pandemic. And there are a lot of policies towards renovation, textbook, incorporating digital skills, and transnational education is also found in Vietnam. In the last meeting of ministers and high officials, we see that there is a declaration on digital transformation of education. Ministers have agreed to ensure that teachers, trainers, and educators of children will be effective in delivering training and services. There will be more digital literacy skills needed for remote, online, and blended learning to enable learning and skills development. There's also implementation of appropriate digital pedagogies and formative assessments, and developing and promoting access to digital learning resources, and building a shared repository of learning resources. However, in the recent months, we have seen reports of ASEAN on the 10 fastest growing jobs. Jobs related to AI and machine learning, jobs related to sustainability, jobs related to data analytics, robotics engineering, big data, agricultural equipment operation, and of course, information security. There are also 10 fastest declining jobs that were reported. These are the routinary jobs that can easily be replaced by robots. We should also know that there are new skills on the rise, from creative thinking, systems thinking, analytical thinking, AI and big data, technological literacy, motivation and self-awareness, and curiosity. Creativity is standing out as the skills on the rise, whereas the skills on decline are those related to manual work, like media programming, sensory processing. So these are skills declining. But the in-demand job categories have also been reported, which is more linked to digitalization, digital content, digitalization of finance, education that is becoming more and more digital, business development, data analysis, e-commerce, and more. So with all of these new skills, new jobs on the rise, we have to think about transformation in education. Are we preparing for tomorrow's human capital? As we see, there is an infinite growth and advancement in technology. There is also the GAI, or generative artificial intelligence, that is expected to change education, even teaching and learning, and the way we manage schools and school systems. The advancement in AI and machine learning can greatly improve teaching and learning, as well as learning outcomes. These sometimes were, equated to the disruptions that happened during the pandemic. But today, we're seeing a lot of new competencies. There's also new learners that we are looking at. There's a network learning, focusing on discovery, ability to synthesize. There's also a need for creative and critical thinking from our learners, systems thinking, computational fluency, and new functional literacies. This is the new type of learners that we have. We're also taking a look at another side of skills development, where we only develop before 21st century skills, and now we have civic and cultural literacy, we have digital literacy, financial literacy, and organizational literacy. All of these are durable skills that workers need, learners need to thrive in this ever-changing world. Education transformation is here. Digitalization can transform education and classroom, even assessment. Instructional AI can be used in the classroom. However, many countries in the region have not yet developed the policies for AI use in education. There's also a decline on creativity of our high school students, as reported by several assessments, and some jobs are better done by AI. So we're thinking that education transformation will really take shape because of the emerging technologies, AI-powered tools, OpenAI, ChatGPT, and thus we need to review our current syllabus, our current competencies for learners and students, so that they will be able to join the new workforce with the new skills that's necessary. But some schools in the region are still in the traditional mode of teaching. However, this seminar is calling us to be aware of the transformation of education. We need to provide solutions to address the widening gaps in knowledge, skills, attitudes, and values. We need to have inclusive, connected, and creative learners. This is the future we want for our learners. So education leaders must do something. So what's the future of teaching like? Everybody can learn anytime, anywhere. Diverse time, different groups of learners. There'll be more personalized teaching and learning, free choices for credits using micro-credentials. There will also be more project-based learning, field experiences, laboratories, or startup hubs. Assessment and examination will greatly change due to the new skills. Student ownership, youth voices, co-creation with the students, more coaching, more mentoring, gamification to apply educational concepts, and future-focused teaching. These are some of what we see in the future of teaching and learning. The future of schooling, according to OECD, will have more expansion of learning markets. There will be growth of digital technologies. Thus, there are ongoing discussions on how to better tap into individuals' motivation for learning, which is really changing because of the technology. Future-oriented teaching and learning also will be more of developing critical thinking skills, collaboration, creativity, character building, and citizenship. And one of the ways by which technology adds value is by making learning irresistibly engaging. There will be more engagement, and technology can provide all of these tools. So integrating technology with learning, then using flipped classrooms where necessary, video content of lessons, these are really the new trends in teaching and learning. But here comes artificial intelligence, which is the next big thing. The large language model is going to education. Teachers and learners are looking at the AI tools and technologies and how they can be helped in their classes, in their assignments, in their own output in the classrooms. That's why we need to address policy gap in artificial intelligence. As you see, if you will scan all or Google everything, you can see a lot of technological applications that's coming like faster than minutes or seconds. There are a lot, millions of applications, big techs in education and here, and they're constantly innovating and developing new applications for our learners. The future is connected. There will be more opportunities to link home, school, community, and peer context of learning. There will be more intergenerational connections based on shared interests and, of course, drawing the capacities of diverse communities. And the rise of micro-credentials, which is sometimes called as the courses that culminate in a digital badge from an accredited university. This is really the next big thing in education transformation. There are some examples already of the MicroMasters programs. They were developed by MIT and other top-ranked universities, and they are linked to industry needs. Just like MIT, they have a series of online courses that can be used for their work and for credentials. And in the region, open universities are leading the development of MicroMasters and micro-credentials. However, in the future, I'm seeing that the next 5 years, we will be developing policies on generative AI or artificial general intelligence, and policymaking is necessary for us to know how we can handle the age of AI. There is also a rise in blockchain technology, which will play a significant role in education. The transactions and the protection of the secured academic credentials and academic records will be provided by blockchain. We are still studying how blockchain technology can be used as a foolproof mechanism for recording information of school and school systems. Well, AR, VR, metaverse, we all have been using this even before the pandemic. They are useful in teaching and learning and they're also accessible anytime and anywhere. There are more student engagement if we use all of these new technologies, AR, VR, metaverse, virtual realities in education. It will foster a more effective learning process and practical learning. So students are enjoying the virtual tours, virtual classes. They can see exactly anything, even the passageway inside the human body, using these new tools for learning. There are new incubation hubs and D-Labs that will come out from different universities. They would like to contribute solutions to the community problems, to the global problems. And that is the next big thing also in higher education. So the future is still being disrupted. From learners, educational institutions, and educational resources, they're booming, they're dynamic, and they're also incorporating the new science of learning. So learners today will have different access, different preparation, different aspiration, and this is real disruption. So the challenges for us here in Southeast Asia is to address issues of inclusion, issues of quality, and really have policies on the use of AI in education and the ethical use of AI. So the preferred future for everybody, all learners can learn anywhere. And my recommendations are address connectivity and data access. So there are still some places that are not connected. We should provide infrastructure financing, new policies, new governance models, and we need to redesign our curriculum and even the learning objectives with the new skill sets required from the students. Furthermore, school leaders must transform education. We need guidelines on micro-credentials. We don't have this yet. We need more capacity building for teachers, and we need to revisit our curriculum to address equity and relevance of policies and to really harness all the global strengths and evidences on innovation which I have presented to you today. We need to invest in education, and together we use technology in our terms. So with that, thank you very much for inviting me to share the future of education, the transformation of education in Southeast Asia and beyond. Thank you very much and have a great day.
Thank you very much, Dr. How technology is driving transformation, education, and teaching, and management and administration, and even assessment. It was very helpful to have definitions of the kind of jobs there will be, what jobs are declining, and to consider the competence and literacies that will steer us to a more sustainable future. I think we've got a problem with the microphone, sorry. Dr. Ethel also mentioned technology as a tool for wider interaction with communities and to support intergenerational learning, and for giving flexibility so that students get greater control of their learning, where, when, and how, and what they learn throughout their life. Particularly interesting from the perspective of CMO SEPs is the recognized need for a shift in curriculum and a review of syllabus towards future-oriented knowledge, skills, attitudes, and values. And it was interesting also to hear about the hubs, the education hubs, where education can contribute to the community development. It's also important to remember those gaps and challenges that Dr. Ethel has reminded us of, about inclusivity, the lack of policies that needed to support AI in education, misuse and ethics when it comes to AI, and what it wasn't particular, well, I missed it a bit, was the creativity among students a reliance on technology and a decrease in creativity. Some argue for, some argue against that. As well as education leaders, I think it would be interesting for us all to have further discussion on each of these points in the future. So many thanks to Dr. Ethel for that presentation and for giving us plenty of food for thought. Can we now move to our third speaker, who brings a new perspective? Mr. Sampan Silapana is Vice President of Hard Disk Drive Department, Thailand Western Digital Storage Technologies in Thailand. He joined Western Digital in 2007, and has 40 years experience and expertise in the field of electronics and HDD manufacturing. In that time, he has actively sought to link industry with skills development with Thailand's manpower. He's been a long-term advocate for cooperative education, a structured method of combining classroom-based learning with practical work experience. He's recognized in both the domestic and international organizations for his efforts and achievements in raising the quality of education systems and addressing the UN's Sustainable Development Goals. I therefore consider Dr. Sampan an active and valuable partner in our efforts to transform education, and I very much look forward to his presentation on catalysts of transformation, unleashing the dynamic synergy between education and business in the 21st century. The floor is yours, Dr. Sampan.
All right. Good afternoon from Thailand. Thank you very much for invitation for me to share some insight. So let me share my video. Oh, hold on. Okay. Today I will cover with three portions. Number one, what have Thailand been doing what they call the transforming education, mainly in higher education. And I have been involved with the World Association of Cooperative Education more than 10 years. So that could be some meaningful information for all of you. At the same time, I have been in the business with the electronic industry more than 40 years. Okay, let's start with the presentation. We are talking about co-create education, and this is what happened in Thailand. We have been doing it for more than 25 years. We start in a few universities, sending a few hundred of the students to maybe about 10 or 20 companies to try 25 years ago. But today, we be able to expand or ramp up to the every year at the moment. We are sending the student to the company, to the businesses, more than 100,000 students a year in Thailand. And we have been doing it for about 5 to 6 years. I mean, we maintain the rate quite nicely. At the same time, you see the company and industry and business involved in the program, more than 40,000 companies every year. And the good part of it, we exchange the student between Thailand and some other country, totally about 40 countries all over the world, you know. So every year it's quite busy, except during the COVID time, we are slowing down on the exchange program to the international, but inside the country alone, we still maintain the same rate of co-create education. Okay? With that, what we have learned throughout 25 years, we see employability is improving. There were a couple of research to prove that the student who enter into the program, which we call cooperative education program, get the job faster. The company very happy with the student. With it, they can start working in the short period of time because they have some experience during the cooperative education. So we have gained a lot of employability. Last year, we sitting down together among our group between the business and the government and education. And we start to question ourselves. Whatever we have been doing well during the past 20 years, are we really sustainable? And we find out the answer is no. Why? Thailand is still stuck in the middle income trap. We are facing the low birth issue. I mean, number of baby is getting lower and lower every year. It's about 1.1, 1.2 numbers. With it, the government and the other, country are expecting we have to be about 2.0. Okay. Number two, we are getting older and older. And if we continue to run with the definition of working, and a lot of people who older than 60 years old want to continue to work, but the infrastructure doesn't support them to continue to work when come to that age. So those are the challenging in the discussion. So we start with the sandbox program, and we want to question ourselves that what we need to do. So if you look to the whole supply chain from education, related gonna be when you start with young, primary, secondary, until to the higher education, before the pupil getting to the career or work on the industry or businesses. But after COVID, you can see the world keep on changing. We start to see a lot of disruption. With it today, the team call it, we are entering to the multi-disruption world. And a lot of people saying that the business today are crashing down. What does it mean, the crashing down? The revenue, the sale, by the average, is lower than the pre-COVID time. Even some of industry or business are lower than the COVID time. Could you believe it? Number two, cost of manufacturing, cost of operation, cost of logistics is higher than the past. Much, much higher. Some of the line is greater by 10 or 20%. And with that, when you sell lesser and the cost of operation is higher, the profit is gone. And some companies, some business are facing the losing business at the moment and put the hope that this could be a short term and one of these days, the boom time will come back. With it, we don't know. So a lot of business today, we like to call is they need the new game changer. They want the same amount of people can do much better job. Or some of company believe some of the people are not fit to the new game changer. So it's coming back that the whole people in organization, more than 80-90% in the business need to reskill and upskill. With that, you can see that this is the problem that the people in the industry are facing every day. Number one is very stressful. Number two, the assignment from the business. They feel that they're incapable to deliver the challenge. At the same time, with a lot of cost of spending, inflation, recession, they feel that the income that they are making every day are insufficient. So we stuck into the real disruptive world. So we talk about it that what we need to do. Last year, the higher education ministry in Thailand, they call the program is Sandbox. And I'm the member and committee with the Sandbox activity. Today, we have been seeing a lot about 100 program launching out. What Sandbox program in Thailand in the higher education ministry doing? Number one, we are leaner. The number of year Normally we take 4 years for higher education, now down to 3 years or 3.5 years. The student required to enroll with the rest credit subject. They finish the education faster and the whole spending is cheaper. Number 2, they reduce a lot of classroom education, academic subject by putting the student to the businesses about 35% of the time. Could you believe it? In the old days, you can see some of the subject never send any student outside. But at the same time, this sandbox program, when they come in, they send 35% of the time out of 3.5 years to the business work. And whenever they lower the academic subject, they put more on the life, career, leadership skill. And allied to the previous speaker, these are the top 20 or 15 that they believe that the student have to be focused on this before entering to the career with the business. Moreover, we talk about technology skill, with the previous speaker talking about it. This is what the sandbox team believes. On the technology skill, we may use Industry 4.0 as the reference. Never mind, today we talk about AI, machine learning. But could you believe it? The people at this generation, a lot of people saying that their life expectancy gonna be 100 years. So when they finish the education, it's only 20 years. They got 80 years to go. And more change gonna be coming for the rest of their life. So we want to touch base on technology skill by know what, why, and how, and when. And when you want to know what and why and how and when and make the impact, you can't let the teaching on the technology just at the classroom. You need to send the student to the business to learn the technology that today they're using in the industry. With it, number one, they are high state of art. They are up to date technology level. You know, the education, it's very hard to put investment and big capital to change machine, change technology every year. But the business, okay, because they have to do the business. So we want to put that to learn technology along with the business people to know what are they and why they have to use it and how they need to use it and when they want to use it. And you need to teach them to be flexible for changing when the new technology are coming. So now the whole sandbox literature discussion that we have been doing for a year, we want to lower the classroom, we want to lower academic. Some of the sandbox program, could you believe it? We don't have a grading. The whole first year, we're not doing grading ABCD to the student because the grading make the student is so stressful. We want them to learn and study with a lot of fun, a lot of good timing, so they can learning some new thing with the life skill, career skill, leadership skill, including technology skill. Okay? And to get out the country from the middle income trap, the people here, employability alone or being employed may not be good enough. If we want to have the people with the higher value, with the higher income to make the country better, we need to define the word of the standard of global citizen. And we want university partner with the business to make the student become the global citizen level. It doesn't mean that your student have to fit to my local business, but we want to teach you, we want to prepare you to be at the global level, and you can work anywhere outside Thailand. So that's the whole presentation that I want to share. I hope this one it feel very useful that what we have been doing in Thailand for 20 years for the co-create education, and now we are changing and transforming to the next level. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Sampan. So I was interested to hear about how long Thailand has been working on programs between colleges, universities, and industry. But you were rightly raised the problem of demographic challenges, changes in this population, birth rates, aging populations, and how we're going to address all of that. And at the same time, there was the impact of COVID, which has affected every business in the country. The costs to employers, the fast changing jobs, people that are no longer up to making rapid changes. So these ideas like the sandbox, which combine the practical work experience with classroom experience, are a way of doing this. And it's also a way, if I might say, of sharing the cost of education, because we can't do that. The education ministries cannot do this on their own. They need to be working in partnerships. So that is going to be a very important thing, I think, for the future, because we have a lot to achieve, and we're talking about technological transformation. The investment in that is going to require cooperation between us all. And creating global citizens who can operate at, oh, sorry. I can't hear.
No, back to your mentioning about the sandbox. I think it's very interesting. During the past 1.5 years that we do a sandbox, I like to encourage the audience in the room come to Thailand or connect to Thailand or connect to Semio Thailand and do a lot of more depth learning with how the sandbox program doing in Thailand. I found it very, very amazing. With it, I have been doing with the education more than 20 years. This sandbox is one of the challenging and big game changer.
Yeah. I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit here as well. I mean, technology is going to have a huge role in transforming education. But what about the sort of e-waste, the gadgets, the machinery? What are we going to do about that? Have you any ideas on this one? Oh.
Is that the question?
It's while we're building up all this technology that's going to drive all the transformation, it seems, from the presentations we've heard today, we're going to be creating an awful lot of e-waste.
Oh, okay. Now
Is
you
that
open the
part of
new.
everyone's
Now you open
deliberation?
the new subject on the US thing. Okay, with it we can talk it offline how the country react to the e-waste thing, and in another challenge with the new world of changing that we put a lot of program. Even today, there are some business in Thailand start to doing what they call the recycle program. Now they take the product that they sell to the customer throughout the whole world to bring the product back, to reuse them, recycle them, and handle them properly and ship back to the customer. We start some of the program, but not in the big magnitude yet, but that program is start in Thailand today.
Okay, I think I better move on to the next speaker now, but thank you once again, Dr. Sampan. So, and last but by no means least, let's hear from our practitioners. So please join me in welcoming Ms. Tintin Hermawati, the school principal for Al Wafa Vocational High School, South Bandung, Indonesia, with Mr. Cecep Abdurrahman, Mr. Rifki Sahib Nugraha, and Mr. Ilham Rizki Galiputra, all from the program, the superhero team, I shall call you. So Meta Wafa is an innovative program initiated by the school to advance learning technology, specifically in the field of the metaverse, encompassing the development of augmented reality, virtual reality, metaverse studios, and 3D assets. The school aims not only to enhance the learning experience, but to expand its presence in the business sector in collaboration with business partners. I'm sure we'll be impressed and inspired by Al Wafa's Superheroes team, their presentation on Meta Wafa for future education. I give the floor to you, Ms. Tintin.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Libby. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, I would like to say thank you so much to the committee of SEP-SDGs for this amazing opportunity. Let me introduce myself. My name is Tintin Hermawati. I am the principal of Al Wafa Vocational High School that's located in Bandung, West Java, Indonesia. It's such an honor for me to be here representing Al Wafa to explain the real and best practice of transforming education to a brighter future. Today, in this occasion, we will present our school under the topic Meta Wafa for Future Education. It is talking about some innovative program that we have been implemented to students, teachers, the entire school management, and how we connected with some industries in order to encourage students for facing life in society. To begin the session, let me share to you a video of a brief story about Al Wafa Vocational High School. So please enjoy it.
Welcome to Al Wafa Vocational High School. Al Wafa has 3 expertise competencies, such as pharmacy, broadcasting and film, and tourism service business. As the principal, there are some achievements that I've got, such as the Inspiring Vocational High School Principal, that's given by ASEAN Smart School Award 2021. Also, the Inspiring Vocational High School Principal is given by the Ministry of Education, Culture, Research and Technology of Indonesia 2022. On its journey, Al Wafa is committed in realizing an excellent vocational school that produces individuals who are skilled, professional, Islamic, and globally competitive through the development of the education system, as well as encouraging the creation of superior innovation programs that refer to the vision that has been set. Al Wafa is a school that runs the Center of Excellence Vocational High School program. Moreover, we have our own excellence program. Those are, the first one is Kolak Samara. It's learning that allows students to be directly involved in developing potential in the student environment with the community through field learning. In order to train social, cultural, and economic sensitivity so that students can maximize the potential in the environment where they live. This program has produced several proud achievements. The second one is Smart School Al Wafa. This is a real step for Al Wafa to be active and adaptive in digital transformation of education, with the development of Smart School Al Wafa into an information management system and learning management system application that integrate all teaching and learning activities in a digital platform. This innovation has also achieved achievement at the following school digital transformation appreciation event. The third one is Meta Wafa. This program contains augmented reality, virtual reality, and metaverse. We cover them in one innovation that is called Meta Wafa. This program has been inaugurated formally by the government as one of the innovation programs in West Java. Along the way, we achieved many achievements at the district, provincial, national, and Southeast ASEAN levels. The success of the program and innovation that we developed can be realized not because of me as the Zoberman, but because of my super team. Some innovations are developed basically to carry out an idea. and complete curriculum by fulfilling the needs of different learning style of students, providing varied learning media and always using technology. I am Tintin Hernawati. Have a great day.
That's a brief information of Al-Wafa Vocational High School. Al-Wafa has many programs that support the transformation of education for a better future. This innovation also support vocational school students in Indonesia for BMW, them to work, continue their studies, and become entrepreneurs. As I told you before, the success of the programs in an innovation can happen not only because of me, but it is also because of my support team. I'm so honored to introduce you, our teachers and students that will explain more about Metawafa and all the details. There are Mr. Cecep, Mr. Rifki, and Ilham. So without any further ado, Mr. Cecep, the time is yours.
All right. Thank you so much for Ms. Tintin, for our principal. So I am Cecep. I'm a teacher of Al-Wafa. So there is a short brief of information about Al-Wafa that several innovation programs are planned and executed by our school. Our school as a means to stay abreast of global technological advancements. These innovations are integrated into learning activities, human resource development, and collaborative school development with various stakeholders. So we let the industries or some stakeholders know that we exist. Our WAFA itself has 4 pillars of school development. The first one is good governance, curriculum development, human development, and also the infrastructure. Before we move to Metawafa, so I would like to inform about some programs that we have made. The first one is Kolak Samara. It is the collaboration program with the community. This program is actually a way to become West Java champion through collaboration between Al-Wafa vocational school students and the community. The second one is Learning Management System, or LMS. It is Smart School Al-Wafa that has 4 features. The first one is accessible platform, first step of digital transformation, learning management system, and system information management for school management. The next one is content and film. This program is carried out regularly to disseminate information and knowledge related to competencies at our vocational school. So students and teachers collaborated making the film. And the next one, we made podcasts. Also, podcasts are also a regular program which is learning carried out by students and guided by teachers by discussing the topics of achievement and innovations. We use also Android apps. This is a learning tool that we developed outside of metaverse technology, but this is also a learning medium that is easy to develop by teachers, even by teachers who do not really master technology skills, easy but still using technology. Yes. So the first, this is the innovation program of Metawafa. The first technology we will discuss is augmented reality, which we call magic cards. So this is the implementation of this technology in the classroom begins with the teachers creating 3D models using applications such as Blender, for example, to create examples such as medicine packaging or building shapes in mathematics. Then these 3D assets are uploaded to an online platform, and the teacher generates a QR code that allows students to scan. In class, teachers only need to bring a magic card containing a QR code or other image that students will request using a special application. And suddenly on their smartphone screen, 3D shapes appeared like magic. The shapes can be various, such as medicine packaging or geometric shapes in mathematics. We will ask, what are the real benefits of these magic cards? First and foremost, it makes learning more engaging. In a mathematics class, for example, teachers can showcase 3D representations of geometric shapes that enable students to gain a better understanding of their properties and concepts. This not only makes lesson more interesting, but also helps students remember the material better. Second, this technology brings an interactive element into the classroom. Students can actually interact with 3D objects that appear on their phone screens. They can rotate objects, examine them for different angles, and even feel them. This turns the learning experience into more immersive and interactive one. Furthermore, AR technology is also created by students for sale as part of an internship program, or students have developed virtual identity cards. When these cards are scanned by a smartphone camera, they project a holographic video introduction the card's owner. This is another testament to how technology has become an integral part of our educational approach, enhancing the learning experience and promoting innovations. So that's all about augmented reality. The next one will be explained by the teacher of Awafa and also the team of MetaWafa. He is Mr. Rifki. So for Mr. Rifki, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Cecep. The second technology that revolutioning education is virtual reality. It's no longer a dream, it's a reality. Let's take a closer look at how VR has enriched the learning experience in the classroom. One of the example in the virtual pharmacies. Within the virtual pharmacies, both teachers and students can step into a virtual world that replicates a pharmacy setting. They can learn about the operation within a pharmacy and the knowledge related to the field of pharmacy. Why is the virtual pharmacy is significant? First and foremost, it makes learning more interactive. Instead of just reading text or looking at images, students can genuinely explore and interact within the pharmacy environment. They can see how medicine are stored, how representation are processed, and how everyday interaction with patient occur. The accessibility of the technology is also worth highlighting. The virtual pharmacies is created using 3D application and stored within a metaverse platform. Both a teacher and student can access it through smartphone, laptops, or even Oculus VR devices. With internet connectivity, this form of learning is accessible from anywhere and anytime. Next slide. Yeah. Let's look at the step to create a metaverse studio in a simple way. First, we are a team screening. Of course, begin by forming a team through talent mapping. Create a list of required skills and the necessary tools of software. For example, you might need a 3D designer, skill like illustration or animation, and software like Blender, SketchUp, or Spatial. This process involves a selection. Second, a training. Once you have the right team, they need training. In our case, you attend training from Samuel QTEP in Science in Indonesia. This training includes material, practical work, and a project-based learning model. After the training, we plan the virtual building, of course, create 3D assets, and finally combine all assets into a unified entity known as a metaverse studio. And then upload to online platform, of course. Once the metaverse studio is built, upload it online platform like Mozilla Hubs or Spatial. After the upload the process, perform trial and error, of course. Explore every corner in the metaverse to identity errors or mirror issue the need correction and re-upload until it function optimally. And then trial and error, a scene in the photo of below the team is formed on the left. training metaverse studio creation in the middle, and on the right, the trial and errors process. Everyone enters the metaverse studio, and various user test whether it works correctly or if there are error. The next one, implementation. If the trial is success and the metaverse is usable optimally, the next step is implementation in the classroom, of course, or in special activity. In the initial implementation, prepare the necessary equipment such as VR devices, or smartphone, laptops, or computers, and ensure the stable internet connection. And then user access. Once the equipment is ready, teachers will share link that student can use to enter the metaverse room. This process may be time consuming as the more user enter, the more graphic are processed. This requires a strong and fast internet connection, of course. And the last one, interaction. When everyone enters the room, it's time to interact. Activities can including learning, discussion, casual conversation, or special events such as music concert, maybe seminars, art exhibition, or simulating the sales process in the store, such as a pharmacy or student art exhibition. At end of the session, I will provide link or name of software that you can see to create a Metaverse Studio in the YouTube Live, of course. You can also learn from YouTube tutorial, as there are many available making the virtual room, even for beginners. Okay, next, it will be explained by our student, Ilham, as one of the team of created it. Okay, time's yours, Ilham.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ripki. So one of the pivotal technologies and the current transformation is the Studio Metaverse. The Studio Metaverse is a virtual environment created to showcase the work of the student at Awapa Vocational High School. This is where the creation can be displayed, ranging from art project to product from the entrepreneurship program. However, the Studio Metaverse isn't merely a showcase for student work. It's a versatile space with a range of applications. Firstly, it serves as an ideal location for online meetings. Teachers and students can gather in the Studio Metaverse without leaving their home, creating a flexible learning experience. Then, Studio Metaverse was used in an entrepreneurship program. Students can showcase their product and merchandise and even participate in the buying and selling process through e-commerce platforms. We call this innovation program Wira Praja. This is an acronym for Wira Usaha Pelajar Al-Wafa Juara. The meaning is Al-Wafa Champion Student Entrepreneur. This is a real manifestation of how technology helps students understand and experience doing business in the digital era. Certainly, with the support of the facilities available at our vocational high school, there are specialized subjects that guide students to become entrepreneur. The assessment prospect system is based on turnover, development of marketing strategies for business product, and the scope of the entrepreneurship. Additionally, there is a supporting application called Sion Wira, which can assess students in managing and monitoring their finances and entrepreneurship. This enables students to generate their own income through entrepreneurship. But the Studio Metaverse feature doesn't end there. The studio is also used for product exhibition, but related to education and open to the public. This creates opportunity for students to showcase their ability and innovation to the world. Digital transformation is the path to a more inclusive and dynamic educational future. We are committed to continue this, utilize this technology to educate future generations. We are Al-Wafa. I hope you are inspired. Okay, next I will hand it back to our principal, Miss Tintin. Time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cheche, Mr. Rifi, and Ilham, that have shared about how we implemented program in school as a best practice of transforming education for a brighter future. We are in the end of the presentation. That's all about Al-Wafa. Thank you so much for your attention and have a good day.
Whoop. Okay, thank you so much to our super team from Al Wafa Vocational School, High School. I have to confess I'm way out of my comfort zone and still struggling with the idea of a metaverse, and live in permanent admiration of the younger generations who seem to just take all of this in their stride. So as such, I'm relieved to know we have so many teachers and students amongst our viewers to this webinar who I'm sure will ask meaningful questions and make meaningful comments to this presentation. But as a late starter with technology, I can appreciate that VR, virtual reality, augmented reality, and the metaverse are excellent ways to foster creativity, encourage innovation, spark curiosity, and create opportunities for collaboration with public and private sector partners. I can see also that teamwork and collaborative learning thrives in the metaverse. And I've read of academic studies that find that VR can positively improve a variety of learning outcomes, such as comprehension, knowledge retention, student engagement, attention span, and motivation. And going back to what Dr. Ethel mentioned on technologies, they make learning irresistibly engaging. And this has been clearly demonstrated in the Al Wafa presentation. So thank you for transporting us to your school and showing us what's happening there. We now move to the Q&A session. So without further ado, we are pleased to welcome back Dr. Sampan and Ms. Tintin and her team from Al Wafa to answer your questions that have come in. We have received around 60 questions from participants from countries as far afield as India, the Philippines, Cambodia, Myanmar, Morocco, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Algeria. So we have a lot of people out there who are watching us today. Sadly, we are limited in our time, so we've had to just select a few questions to put to you today. Thank you for everybody, though, who has shown interest and has sent those in to us. So could I request the technical team to show the first question up on the screen there? And this is for Dr. Sampan. So here we have the question from your presentation. How could the private sector fully immerse in the education development processes, such as co-authorship of curricula, since the private sector determines knowledge and skills needed by industry? How would you like to respond to that?
This is very great question. Let me share you from the history out of 25 years. We start 25 years ago with only a few universities, a few companies, and we just send out only a few hundred students. When we running that, it takes several years to scale up, become the 100 university today, almost 100,000 students. One of the critical factor is government tax deduction. For local company, you can take the expense of cooperative education when you have to pay to the student, spend on some equipment or something that you can put in the bill and use expense to deduct the tax at the end of the year. And I believe the tax reduction is 200%. So the actual spending that the company spend, let's say 100 baht, at the end of the game, actual payment, they pay only 20 to 30 baht only. So that one of the major reason that we can take off the number of company, number of student, number of university. Number two, we design the program along with 4 months or 6 months to have a clear project design, assignment design at the day one. So every student going there have to commit every single day to make some work and project moving forward. Otherwise, at the end of the game, you can't complete the projects. And when you do it right with the project assignment, with the clear mentorship from industry and education, the student learn every day and reflect a lot of progress. And with that, we are seeing the return on investment to the businesses about 3 to 4 times. They spend 100 baht today, they get the outcome from the projects 3 to 4 times. This is the most critical one because a lot of business believe the program are the burden to them. They don't want to take it because they view it, the mindset is the student is non-productive, cannot do anything and become my burden, and that's the company at the old day don't want to take the student. The last one that I want to add on. Now we're talking about new generation of people. A lot of new gen, they don't want to work. And they are very, very less patient with you. They work with you for a few months, they're not happy, they quit. You know, so with the program, help the student know your company. The company know the student. Instead, you do the interview for 3 hours, you see the student for 4 months. They know you, you know them. Then make the turnover rate become lower if you hire the student from the program. And you know, cost of turnover to industry is pretty high, you know, compared to the spending that's spent to the program. So this is have to be the success factor that we have been learning along 25 years.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Sampan. And can we move to our second question? Okay. The question 2 is for Dr. Tintin. Oh, Ms. Tintin, sorry. Here we go. So what are the ways to ensure that the application of the constantly evolving technology in education remains inclusive and does not produce systems of exclusion among learners, as well as teachers and schools? Big question.
Okay, Libby, to ensure that the application of technology continues to develop an education and remains inclusive, we make sure the internal parts are running. We did it by monitoring, evaluating, also upskilling for teachers, students, and school community. The monitoring was done by evaluating, checking the learning plan with SSR or LMS through school administration supervision on and going into the classroom supervision. Besides that, we always join some workshop, and we did the dissemination of technological development to other schools through teacher and principal communities, and receiving benchmarking from other schools to get inspiration from our school that can be applied in their school. Our school was one of the speakers to give the best practice at last year's Metaverse training of 10 batch in the national level via online with SEP-SDGs, Semio QTAP in Science. It's recommended by Mr. Gatot. And we have shared our best practice Kolaksamana, Wirapraja, and Metawafa in the Merdeka Mengajar application, which was created by Mr. Nadiem Makarim, the Minister of Education, Culture, Research, and Technology of Indonesia, and can be accessed by all teachers and principals in Indonesia with Bahasa Indonesia. We have done dissemination from last year. We have done it in our area and outside the island. So I hope we can do dissemination our program to other countries all around the world, just like we are doing now. Okay, thank you, Libby.
Thank you, Dr. Ms. Tintin. Good to hear that all that exchange and sharing is happening. So we move to the conclusion of today's seminar. The webinar has, not a seminar. The webinar has taken us on a journey from international advocacy for transforming education to educational strategies and trends. We've heard the perspectives of speakers from both the public and private sector, as well as from different generations. And we've been given inspiration and cause for optimism, seeing what is happening and what can happen with the necessary support by our institutions. The webinar has highlighted a belief in TVET as the potential contribution to addressing multiple development challenges and also lifelong learning. Amongst other things, our speakers have reinforced the need to address issues of inclusivity, content, capacity building, partnerships, since this level of change will require joint efforts and considerable investment. I hope that our viewers have enjoyed today's session and that you will join us for the next webinar. In the meantime, we've drawn up a list of resources that may be of interest to our viewers in terms of the policy level. If you can just quickly show that. But I would ask you to come back and view this later. Okay, there's the first group of documents. Can we move to the second one? Okay. So on behalf of the SEP-SDGs team, I would like to express my thanks and appreciation to all of you, the speakers and our viewers today, and for excellent presentations and for the interesting questions that we've received. At this point, let me hand back to Kevin, who will give details on webinar 4 that's coming up and to explain the certification process of this one. So over to you, Kevin.
Thank you so much, Libby, and honorable panelists for the insightful knowledge and very impressive session. So, ladies and gentlemen, next I would like to announce our next webinar. We proudly present the 4th episode of our webinar entitled Equity and Inclusion Education, which will be live streamed via YouTube platform on 15 November 2023, starting from 2 p.m. Bangkok time. You can scan the QR code for pre-registration and save your date for the upcoming learning series. And for the e-certification of yours, I would like to request you to follow us on the presented guidelines to get the e-certification, and please complete an evaluation form and fill up the certificate validation, and please make sure that your name is spelled correctly. I think our technical team has posted the link for e-certification in the chat box in YouTube. Ladies and gentlemen, last but not least, you can visit our website for the up-to-date information and upcoming activities at worldwideweb.simeo-seps.org, and please subscribe for our social media channels such as Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram by searching SEP-SDGs. Thank you for all participation and goodbye for now. We hope you learn a lot from today's session and hope we will see you again in the next virtual learning episode. Thank you once again. Have a good day. ขอบคุณครับ